You can start cross-legged or any way you like. Good, just let the hands rest along the legs, sit up nice and tall. Take a moment to turn your gaze low or close your eyes. And as the gaze comes in, allow all of your attention to come here to this time for a yoga practice. Time for yourself. Movement provides strength, provides greater range of motion and flexibility. You take those physically and mentally into the self. Use the next couple of breaths to continue to drop the rest of what's come up during this day and be as present as you can just for this time. Just for this movement and this practice. All right, nod the chin down to the chest and then just rock the head a little bit side to side. We're going to take a pretty gentle approach to the entire hour today, mostly focusing on stretching and opening the length of the body, but there'll certainly be some strengthening components as well that come in. Okay, keep the right ear over towards the right shoulder. And then walk the left fingertips out to the side. From there, take the right hand on top of the left ear or side of the head. Give it a little tug out to the side. Just continuing to give some extension and length down right now the left side of the neck. Okay, we bring the hands back to the thighs, chin to chest, and shift left ear over towards the left shoulder. The shoulders themselves relaxed. Walk the right fingertips out. And then set left hand on top of the right ear, side of the head. And again, it's not pressured down, it's more of a length out. Very gentle. And the hands come back to the thighs, chin to the chest. Lift the head and gently open your eyes. We'll stay seated for a little bit longer. Take the left hand up to the sky and lean over towards your right side. And then look down, more like a cat curl of the back or round of the back. And change so you're looking back to the side, arm more overhead. Good, come back to the center where we started. And then take the opposite hand up. Lean on over towards the left. You can be up on the hand or down on the forearm, that's up to you. And look down at your left knee, round your back. Hand closer to the ground. And change again back to that first position. So we're looking towards the side, maybe even up. And as you come to the center, now lift both arms up to the sky. Bring the palms down to the middle. Fold over your seated legs, reach the arms out in front of you, a little bow here. Okay, and then roll over the legs more until you come to all fours on the yoga mat. Place the hands under our shoulders, knees underneath our hips. Cat cat and cow, just moving the spine back and forth here. Absolutely no rush. We'll take it slow today in the movements. I always say the purpose of this time spent on the yoga mat is to feel good, to feel better in mind and body. So just always taking the movement, the levels that are going to help feel good and better now and later. Do one more breath of cat and cow. And then stay in all fours, nice neutral spine. I like to bring the knees together now. It's helpful to add some balance. And lift the right leg up and back. Flex the right foot and try to point the toes down to the floor to keep the hips square. Extend the left arm out in front. And then we're going to give 10 little pulses. Arm and leg go higher 10 times. Do it. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Lower the hands, lower the leg. Really nice way to get warm and engaged into the core, hamstrings, and the arms all at the same time. So left leg up and back now. Flex the foot, point the toes down to the floor. Nice squeeze in the glutes. Here the navel should feel as though it's pulled up into the spine. So there's this little curl of the tailbone towards the heels. The belly doesn't drop down. And then right arm out in front. So we're giving some strength to the left arm that's still on the ground. Stabilization in the right hip, that back knee that's down, helping that out. And let's add the pulses up for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Lower the hand and lower the leg. Downward facing dog, tuck the toes, lift the hips on up and back. Here in our inverted V shape, pedal out your feet a bit. Just kind of walking the dog, I call this one. Just side to side. And then keep both knees bent, but also shift your hips more towards the sky, which should make you get a little more involved in your upper back, meaning squeeze the tips of the shoulder blades in towards each other. Stay there for a moment more, knees bent. And then drop the knees all the way back down to the mat. Knees as wide as the mat, big toes together, push back into child's pose. Arms out in front. Lift up onto the fingertips, lift the forearms, elbows, upper arm bones to the sky, and walk both hands over towards the right side. I always envision the front of the mat like the 12 on a clock, and we're walking over towards the 2, something around in there. And then walk the hands back straight ahead towards the 12 and walk the hands over towards the left side, more towards like the 10 on a clock face. And back to the middle. Again, up to all fours. This time the knees stay as wide as the hips and we keep the hips lifted and twisted child's pose. Take the right arm, thread it through the left, And set your ear, side of the face down to the mat. And then the left arm up to the sky. Sometimes I don't like the left arm up. If that's not feeling great, you can keep it down and just stretched out in front of you on the mat. Okay, the left hand, wherever it is, comes back beside the face. And that's the arm that helps you back up to all fours. And then the second side, thread the left arm under the right. And again, shoulder, ear, side of the face down to the mat. We're keeping the hips butt lifted today. Choices with the right hand. It goes out in front or up to the sky. Okay, bring the right hand back beside the face. Use it to help you come up to all fours. And then we'll swing the right foot forward, either on either side of the hands, or you can leave both hands on the inside of the foot. Let's actually bring the hands all the way up to the front knee, so we'll give ourselves a little more space here. And I'm kind of like sunk down and forward in the legs. I want you to be higher than you have to be, like a little bit pulled up and back so that we can gain a bit more strength from the pelvic floor into the abdomen. And then lift the arms up to the sky. Okay, we're gonna do this 5 times. It's a twist. Just left arm by your right leg, look over your right side. And then both arms up to the sky. Just repeating that movement. Twist, lower the arms. Exhale, come back to neutral, arms overhead. We do it 3 more times. Twist. Back to neutral, arms overhead. And twist. Back up. And twist, back up. Lower the hands back to either side of the front foot. Tuck the back toes, lift the back knee off of the floor. And just stay here in the low lunge for a moment. Try to point the front knee more towards the front and the back heel more towards the back. Sort of a funny thing to say, but imagine that you're getting a little longer in the stride without it actually changing shape. And with the muscles engaged in that way, take the right hand up so you're adding a twist. And the more the action or energy of the front knee moves forward and the back heel moves back, I feel that in my right hip, actually, the outer hip. Good, strong stretch there. And I'm gonna lower the right hand back down, left knee down, and just come all the way to all fours. And then shift the left foot forward. I should have said this on the first side, but since we have that back knee down on the ground for so long, sometimes I'll double fold my mat over so it's just a little more cushioned. Slide something underneath the foot, it's fine, however it works. But again, we bring the hands up to the front thigh and we're not as far down and forward as we could be. We're staying a little bit more conservative so that we can get stronger in the front side of the body. Lift the arms up to the sky. And it's just a repetitive movement here. Exhale and lower the hands into the twist. And then inhale and lift back to normal or neutral, I should say. And then exhale and twist. Nicely done. Arms up. Exhale and twist. Back up. We do this 2 more times. Twist. And up. And twist. and up. Okay, hands go back down by the foot. Tuck the back toes, lift the back knee off of the ground. And again, just taking in a couple of breaths to really find low lunge here, the action of pulling left hip back in space, right hip a little forward here. And then I'm engaging the muscles stronger to the bone, but at the same time, imagining the left knee shooting more forward and the back heel shooting more back. With that in place, add the left hand high for a twist. And then lower the hand back down to the floor. Come around to all fours. Cat and cow as we have already done. And just taking it slow today, no complicated movements. Downward facing dog, tuck the toes, lift the hips. And take a nice bend in your knees and walk the hands backwards to the feet. And here's we're at the end of our sticky mat. Separate the feet even a little wider than the hips, really giving yourself some space. This is what I always call ragdoll pose. You just kind of hang forward and over the legs. Swing a little bit side to side. I like to hold on to my elbows here to give that extra bit of heaviness and release. If you've spent a lot of time on your feet today or a lot of time seated, one or the other, this pose is excellent for both. Relax the head. Sometimes you'll notice the last thing you're doing is keeping a little lift in the chin. Let it be, really let it hang here. And then ever so slowly roll it up to standing. Roll the shoulders up and back a couple of times. Yeah, roll the shoulders forward and down a couple of times. That always feels so good, I think. Take your time to walk up to the front of the mat. Once we reach the front of the mat, lift the arms up to the sky. Exhale, fold over the legs. Bring the hands to the thighs and then extend from hips out to the crown of the head, so making an L shape in the body. And then we'll step it all the way back to plank pose. Plank pose, always open to us from the toes or from the knees. Do make the arms straight and look just a little forward rather than down. Hold the top of plank. We're going to give ourselves 10 more seconds in this plank hold. So here we're at 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And then we get to lie all the way flat down to the mat. Reach the hands back behind you. Turn the palms to face up to the sky. Okay, this is a 10-second lift as well. Lift everything that you can up. Squeeze the heels in, squeeze the glutes towards one another. Lift the hands higher than you first thought to, and then the chest. And we've got 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Lower it all the way down. Press yourself back to child's pose. Also 10 seconds right here. Just sort of fold in. 2 long breaths. And change to downward facing dog again. Okay, this time from dog pose, bring the right foot all the way forward into your low lunge. So we've already been to low lunge. We just recreate that same shape as much as we can. Back leg lifted and straight. Walk both hands up to the front thigh. Lift the torso straight up and down. Arms to the sky. Give that back glute a nice squeeze, the left side especially. It likes to forget to hang on for you there. And the more that we squeeze in that left side, it makes it a little easier, I think, to balance. And we're doing that same shift and twist. So the arms come down, you look towards your right as you twist. And then both arms back up to the sky. This time we're just doing 3. You twist and lift, and then twist and lift. Lower both hands either side of the front foot. Step back to plank. We've got another 10-second hold. So this is the power, the strength portion of our practice today. You're here again for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. We're lowering flat down, and it's that same 10-second lift here from the belly. Hands back behind you, turn the palms, ready, lift. Everything as high as we can, squeeze towards the midline. Again, we're at 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. We get to lower down, press back to child's pose. 10 seconds here. I recently was doing some research and reading on the breath, and they said optimal breath length about 5.5 seconds in, 5.5 seconds out. Okay, downward facing dog. Step the left foot forward in between your hands. And take your time to come all the way upright, arms to the sky. Imagine the inner thighs squeezing in towards the midline. Get that back right glute really engaged here so that we can keep our balance and stay lifted in this lunge even as we add the movement of the twist. So now you look towards the left side and then lift the arms back up. 2 more rounds like that. Twist and lift. And twist, and lift. Lower the hands down. Well done. Step back to plank. Final last 10-second hold right here for plank pose, toes or knees. Always looking a little ahead of the hands so we don't have to carry the weight of the head on the shoulders right now. And we'll call that 10. Lower it flat down to the belly. Last one here, I want to make it superhero. Arms out in front. And we'll take it up. Lift up for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Lower it down. Child's pose. If you're going very slow with the breath, it's just one long inhale and exhale there. And then change to downward facing dog. You might be thinking, where's all that slower, stretchy stuff she promised? It's coming. It's the rest of our practice. So down dog, solid stretch out right here. And then a nice bend in the knees. Walk your hands backwards to the feet. Again, half lift. Take the hands to the thighs. L shape, extend from hips out to the head. Strong engagement in the core, abdomen. And then fold over the legs. Always a little bend behind the knees for safety there. Stand all the way up. Lift the arms to the sky as you do so. Let's hold on to our right wrist and lean towards the left side. Good. Lean the head back just a little bit, almost like it's trying to rest into a pillow. And then back to the center. Hold on to the second wrist. Up and over to the side. Okay, back to the middle. Relax the arms, everything just sort of shakes out. So I want you to stand, you can use the long edge of your mat. Nice wide stance. This is really one of my favorites. We're just gonna find the floor. I take a little bend in the knees so that the hands can find the floor. And walk the hands in closer to the line of the feet, send the head down towards the mat. And you might notice that I said towards the mat. The head does not need and should not touch the mat. If you have a lot of range of motion and flexibility, some folks do find their head on the ground. Sometimes that's flexibility. Sometimes that's just how your body's built in terms of shorter legs, longer torso, whatever it might be. You can always take the feet closer together so that you keep space between the head and the floor. All right, I've talked here for a moment so that you can just settle in, find your space. Make the legs only as straight as they'd like to go, keeping fingertips on the ground. In other words, it's fine to have a bend in the knees. Subtle movement and shifts in this shape are fine. We're here for a little bit longer. So really shifting this latter half of the practice into longer holds, focused on the stretch and range of motion. Take 2 more long breaths here. And then keeping in mind that we have been head down in this position for a little bit, slowly build yourself back up to standing. So no big swings or head rushes. Come all the way back up and then heel toe the feet in. Similar, but instead of a wide-legged stance, we're going to keep our feet a little closer together. So we've got feet about outer hip distance apart. If you are using the width of a yoga mat, your feet are just more narrow than the mat. Same thing, little bend in the knees and fold it over. So whereas before I was taking a nice deep bend in the knees with ragdoll position, now I want you to keep all 10 fingers on the ground and do your best with the hands on the ground to make the legs straight. And then the caveat is more weight in your toes, not so much in the heels. And just that simple rock more towards the toes. It's going to send all the good signals to strengthen the muscles on the front side of the legs. Lift up on the kneecaps, tone in your quads so that we have a strengthening action on the front side of the legs and a stretching action along the back side of the leg. Stay in this forward fold here, again for 2 to 3 more breaths. And then to come up, bend the knees more, look more forward before you just stand up, and then slowly come back up. Maybe hands over belly and heart. If you ever feel dizzy, take more time to come up. Don't drop the head all the way down. Always keeping in mind this feel good and better throughout and after the practice. Okay, we're ready. Stretch the arms up to the sky. Once more, fold over the legs, and then downward facing dog. So the hands come forward and the feet walk back. So you find down dog again. This is just going to help us transition. Let's go 3-legged dog. Lift the right leg up and back. Big reach first. And then take the right knee in towards the chest. Hover forward in plank pose. And set the right knee behind the right wrist so we get to pigeon pose. I like to keep the right heel in towards the opposite hip. Walk the back leg out until you can come down to your forearms. Anytime it feels right to you, close the eyes. We're going to give ourselves a full, healthy 1 to 2 minutes in this pose. So you don't have to feel as though you're squeezing the muscles as hard. You've set yourself into the shape. And a little bit more about letting go and relaxing while holding the basic shape here. If you ever have any pain that comes into this posture, a lot of times for folks it's in that front knee. You can tuck the front heel closer to the same side of the leg, so you're less at an angle. Or skip the forward motion completely, lie on your back and into a figure 4 shape of the legs instead. It's the longevity here that starts to build a bit of discomfort. Breathe with some discomfort and always change if it's pain. And then we'll slowly lift ourselves out of this pose. I usually crawl the back leg forward at the same time that I lift up to the hands. Come out to all fours, and then downward facing dog. Lift the hips up and back. Probably feels a little different from side to side. We'll make sure to even it out here. Lift the left leg up, three-legged dog. Nice, strong, powerful swing. Pull the knee into the chest. And then set the left knee down behind the left wrist, the heel closer to the right hip. And just walk the back leg out. Move down to the forearms. You can go all the way down to the forehead if that's okay for you. And again, plenty of time to settle in. I'll give some peace and quiet so you can just listen to the breath. Let it help you pace the pose. And slowly bring it back up to the hands. One more time, find downward facing dog. Nice even stretch, press hands down and forward. Thighs back, heels down. And drop the knees to the mat and change to a seated position. So you can sit on the mat, stretch the legs out in front. First thing is kind of like those little pulses that we did at the beginning. Flex the feet. As you press the heels down into the mat, point the toes and the knees straight up. But there's like a little tiny bend behind the knees so that we're not locked out there. Lift the arms up to the sky. All right, so you're just gonna fold forward a tiny bit, like a hinge from the hip. Imagine pushing your butt further back behind you as the hands come just about over the line of the toes. And 10 times we're going to go just a little bit down and then back up. Down and up, and just finding this tiny little shift. And it's mostly in the hinge of the hip. I'm at 5 and up, 6 and up, 7, 8, 9, and then for 10, let the arms drop all the way down, round your back. And then think again about a straight back, lengthen the spine, look more towards the toes so you're in that sort of halfway position if you lift the arms up. Take both hands over towards your right side so you're in just a little bit of a twist, You can drop the right hand down and like you're trying to reach further forward towards that corner. We're going for the reach for 10, little pull back for 9, pull back, 8, just like that. Keep going, tone in the abdomen. Still more of a movement as if you're pushing your butt further behind you, and the entire upper body reaches more forward. I think we might be at 2, and then 1. Drop both hands, round the back, so you're kind of in this twisted round and fold. Bring the hands over to the other side, and then lift halfway up so that you can gain that strength in the abdomen. Right arm stays pulled across, left hand can go down, and we're reaching for 9. 9 and lift, 8 and lift, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1, and then both hands drop down, more of a round in the spine. I find these little different movements tend to unlock some extra space and range of motion for me that I wouldn't get in a more static position. Bring the hands just over the legs now. Seated forward fold to your center. Okay, come all the way back upright. And then we're going to change to lie all the way down on our back. I think some good news. We'll be down here on our back for the rest of the class. So as you roll down, pull the knees into your chest, give it a good little squeeze. And then the hands can come out to a T shape. If you're working with a smaller space, bend at the elbows, more like goalpost. Let both knees fall towards the right side in a supine twist. And this position we'll hold for a while. Be as passive as you possibly can, meaning do as little as possible here. You kind of set yourself into the shape, and then we're just letting it be. Before we fall all the way to sleep, we'll slowly switch over to the second side. Knees across the center. Let the legs go over to the left. First few breaths, kind of finding your way, finding where the body is okay with stillness. And then again, being as passive as possible, just letting it be. Okay, and then bring the knees back across your center. Set the soles of the feet down to the yoga mat. We'll change into a moving bridge pose here. Reach your hands down to brush close to or near your ankles. Keep the soles of the feet, shoulders, back of the head on the mat. Take a long inhale, and as you inhale, lift the hips up for bridge pose. And then a nice slow exhale, lower the hips down. So this moving bridge pose. We'll do it a few more times. Inhale and lift. Exhale, slowly lower. Inhale, lift the hips up. And lower. Either keep doing the exact same thing, or you can add with the lift of the legs, the lift of the arms. Arms go up and overhead. And then exhale and sweep back down. Inhale, lift hips and arms up all the way overhead on the mat behind you. And then exhale, hips go down, arms go back up, and sweep all the way down towards the heels. One more time, everything goes up. And exhale, everything goes down. Keep the arms down, just flip the palms over, and then feet together, and let the knees fall out towards either side in butterfly shape. Soles of the feet together, knees out to the side. This is another shape that folks don't always love. Many days I don't. If that's the case for you, kind of do the opposite with the knees together and the feet apart. Either way. Soften the jaw by relaxing teeth away from each other. Let the tongue drop from the roof of the mouth. Allowing that release and softening in the face and the head. Sending those same signals of release, relaxation into the body. One last change. Stretch the legs just out in front for Shavasana, our final relaxation pose of just arms, legs extended. If you'd rather be on your side or already up in a seated position here, that's fine as well. Just finding that last few moments of stillness and release. And finally here, coming all the way back up to a seated position, if not already. We'll find ourselves in the position that we started our practice in. And I hope you were able to find those bits through the movement, through this practice that help us to feel good and better, and that you can take that with you off of the mat into the rest of the day. Fold the palms together, just a little bow to give full gratitude to yourself, each other, this practice. Namaste.